Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Well, hi there, and welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next, and if you're not too careful, you just might learn something. So, in this episode, or series of episodes, depending on how well this job goes, I've got a 2006 Subaru Legacy GT. It's got the 2.5 liter little boxer 4-cylinder with a turbo on it. And it's we're going to be putting a new snail on it. The old one failed on him, so we're going to replace that. And there's a bunch of other little nitnoid stuff that we're going to need to do. But we're going to tackle the big job first and get that out of the way, and then we'll worry about all the little stuff. So let's get started. Now, the first thing we want to do before we touch any tools, the most important document you want to read in something like this is the warranty document. Okay, and as you can see, this document has lots of fine print on it. So I'm going to whip out my slightly larger reading glasses, and you'll see what is expected of us here. Review the original unit or system for the following issues: damaged wheels, worn, bent, chipped, foreign material ingestion. That's if it ate a mouse or something. Loose, worn journal bearings, wheels hitting the housings, cracked turbine housing, oil leakage on the old compressor or turbine housing, or both, not achieving boost. So you want to look that all over. What they're getting at here is basically you want to make sure that you're not going to put your brand new turbo on something that's going to cause the new one to get eaten just like the old one. So I want you to do a little due diligence here. This is what's common sense, but not everybody has that. So, and then it goes over some essential installation procedures, and finally, step 3 is the limited liability warranty. So you want to make sure you dot every I and cross every T on whatever that warranty says. And if that means you change your oil 8 times within the first 100 miles or whatever, you do it. And keep the receipts for all the stuff if you do the oil changes yourself. And that way, heaven forbid, if you have any problems with that turbo, you've got all your little duckies lined up in a row, and you're not like trying to herd cats and get your turbo warrantied out. Okie dokie. Now what we're going to do, we're going to start by taking this off here. But the one thing I am sure about is that this was a beach car, and everything is rusted on here. So I fully expect to have a battle on my hands here, because just about anything that's exposed is going to fight me. So we can pretty much count on that. Get that out of there. I'm just going to put many of these bolts as I can put back where they belong and not have to worry about them. I'm okay with, because that's just one less thing I gotta wonder where it goes. So, all right, let's see. Now we're gonna have that's gonna be in our way. Now we will pull that out. For the moment. I've already disconnected the battery and taken it out. Always want to do that before you start getting into playing with stuff like this. Always a good idea. Well, as you can see, the first thing we're working towards getting off is the intercooler. We'll get that out of the way. You want to be careful with any of these bolts that screw into brass inserts that are cast into plastic, because if you wring one of those out, then it's going to ruin your day. And again, I'm just going to put these bolts back in here. Now you're going to notice there's a lot of kind of oily sheen all over everything. And the owner assures me that that's because he sprayed the whole thing down with WD-40 once, when he bought the car, and as an effort to keep it from rusting. And to each their own, and it's okay. That's what he wants to do there. All right, now we got our big hose clamp here for our turbo or boost hose that goes into the intake. I want to get that off of there. As I understand it, there's all kinds of mods and things you can do to soup these things up, and but from what I understand, out of a 2.5 liter motor, these little things get along pretty good. Just as they are, bone stock from the factory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get under this boot a little bit with my screwdriver, kind of try and loosen its grip on this intercooler here. I'm pretty sure that'll do. These are all, so far, have been 12 millimeter and 10 millimeter sockets. What you need. And again, you want to approach every bolt with care on a car like this that's spent its entire life near the beach. It's down in Florida, I believe. So the salt air just ate this thing alive. I'm really surprised that the body panels aren't perished any worse than they are. But lots of these bolts could seize up and freeze on you if you go in there and ham fist that thing and snap them right off. Makes for a long day, trust me. The other thing you want to be careful of too is these things have rubber O-rings on them, for seals, like for that blow-off valve, and over here. So we're going to take real good care of those. Take them over here and set them on the workbench so we don't get lost. Now, ideally, you would want to replace those, obviously, especially if the car's got a bunch of miles on it. All right, and there we go. There's our intercooler. There's our little O-ring there. We'll set this over here out of harm's way. Set that over on the old workbench here. Put my clapper over there. Okie dokie. Now next thing I'll go after is this coolant line here that's going to the turbo. And what we'll do is we will take and put a blocking clamp on here so we don't make a huge mess. All right, so now we're gonna put this blocking clamp on here. And what that will do is that will stem the flow of coolant. And then we're going to go after some more of the hard stuff. What we're going to have to do is the heat shield on this turbo is going to have to come off. We'll get back to that later, don't worry. And I'm pretty much banking on every one of these breaking because they're real frail. And they've been cooked, so I'll be surprised if we don't break most of them, not all of them. But then again, I won't complain either if they don't. That's less work for me. I've already quoted the job, so. And that's with the assumption that there's probably going to be some broken bolts because of all the rust, the salt, corrosion. I've gone ahead and made sure I soaked all this stuff down real good for a couple of days before we really got started on this. So that, no doubt, has helped. There's one. Guessing that was probably one of the hardest ones to reach down there. Let's see. Nope, that one is. All right, now that'll be fun. All right. I could probably go after that one a lot easier from underneath. Now the thing about working with these bolts, you know, see that one just busted right off, even being real gentle with it. But, you know, that was expected. If you just try and bump it real easy, get it loose, then you stand a better chance of getting it apart without breaking a bunch of stuff. Ever so gently. This heat shield is probably going to be the most challenging bit because of all they're such tiny little bolts and they're all rusted up. Well, 3 in 1. That's good. I got one more I can get to from up here, and then I'll have to go down underneath, lift the car up. Now see what we'll do is we'll clean all the rust off of these bolts before we put them back on. Still gonna fight me to the very end, aren't you? Okay. All right. We're going to go up in the air now, and I don't think you want to watch me fighting some boring old bolts, so I'll just turn the camera off for now, and then we'll come back when I get it back down on the ground. Now I got all my bolts undone or broken. Unfortunately, we kind of went to the other side and got on the losing side of the broken bolts. So, but that's okay. And just as they are so soft that they break easy, they also can drill out and be retapped very easily. So, and now that we have that heat shield off of there, now we can work on getting our exhaust unbolted from here. So we got some bolts here, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 looks like. That flange bolts up to the back of the turbo, and there's another bracket that's going to have to come off. There was another bracket down underneath on the catalytic converter that bolts to the transmission, but unless you live in Arizona, that bracket's probably rusted away from the catalytic converter. So that looks like what, 14 millimeter? Yeah. At least they use good bolts for that. They won't be so soft that they fall apart on us. Alrighty then. And they're not that tight either. That's good. Let's see. That one is let's get that bracket out of the way so we can see what we got going on behind there. Okay. Now let's see what we got back here. That's a stud. Okay. That just means it'll be extra difficult to get the exhaust manifold off. Basically what this is that I'm working on here, this is the flange where the outlet of the turbo hooks to the exhaust system, and it dumps right into a catalytic converter, which I imagine helps that catalytic converter fire off a lot quicker with all the heat of that turbo. That. I'm going to go for this bottom one because I don't want to have to be fighting that in the blind. Oh, ain't we got fun. This last one off of here. Okay. I'm sure there'll be a nice gasket in there. Like something rusted off of there, no doubt. All right, so that's clear of that. That's good. I guess we're gonna have to drop that front section, that front cat out of there. That's gonna be fun. All right. Well, take it back up in the air. We gotta get that exhaust pipe completely back out of the way to be able to get to the flange where the turbo bolts down to the exhaust manifold. And what we can see here is I've dropped the catalytic converter off back here, and that opens up room for us to get these bolts out here. All right. There's only 3 holding it down to the exhaust manifold. That's kind of good. Okay. And 1. There's 2. There we go. Now she's loose. I'm probably gonna have to go down after that one with a magnet because I'm probably gonna drop it if I try and go and fish it out with my fingers. Ha! There we go. How about that, sports fans? Now let's get our oil line off of here. It's gonna be a little difficult to show you. I can't just be moving this camera around all over the place, unfortunately. But I can take a picture and show you. That would work. Yeah, let's see here. What this is the oil feed line to the turbo, which is like this turbo's lifeblood. So you really want to, have to always take care to make sure you always changing your oil like you're supposed to, and you just shut them off after a hard run, and they just sit there and cook in that heat, and it coats the oil up in the bearings. And that's what ultimately ruins them. So now let's get this vacuum line off of the wastegate here. Always makes me laugh when sometimes these kids get to playing around with the wastegate to, you know, make their cars make more boost, and they wonder why they blow the head gaskets. And you just can't turn the wick up on one thing and expect to make a ton of power. Well, you will make a ton of power, but for a very short period of time. So it lifts the head right off the block. Here's another thing too that I do is I'll buy all different kind of lengths of extensions when I see them. Even if they're not the world's greatest quality, I'll still buy them anyway. Because you can sit there and put them together and get just the right length that you need to get into a tight spot. Because your screwdriver's too long, or your one extension's too long or too short or whatever. I can assure you I'm gonna clock that clamp in a different orientation going back in. That joker is a real pain to get to. Probably easy as pie when they were building the car. Oh yeah, we gotta get this water line off of here. That's that one I told you we were gonna come back to in a bit. Where I had put the clamp on it. And there's going to be a return line somewhere coming off of this bad boy. Let's see where the oil return line goes on this. Yeah, there you are. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of persuasion here. But if you're gentle with it, she'll pull right off the top of the motor. There's one more coolant return line underneath there that's going to give you a little bit of fits. But you should be able to see your way past it. And then get off of that intake boot that we loosened the clamp on earlier. And we get that out of our way. Should be able to pull it right up on out of there. And you got another little vacuum line right in here, and I'll take a picture of that so you can see it. What we'll do is we'll replace all these lines because they're going to be no doubt pretty perished from age. It's all kind of like boost sensing stuff. And then return line coming out of the bottom of the turbo. That pulls off. So I'm sorry, that's not the coolant return. I apologize. This is going to be your oil return. So we'll have to slide that back down on there. But let's get this out of here and we'll get it up on a bench where we can get a better look-see at it. We're going to get a peek down the barrel of this snail here. And I'm going to venture a guess to say that that turbo is lunched. See what we see from the other side. Oh yeah. Look at that tiny little wheel. It's like, where's its mommy? Yeah. Yeah, that turbo's done. All right, so there we are. Alrighty then. So now we have the old turbo off, and our next video we will we'll get the new turbo on there, and then we're going to have to go through and we're also going to tear some stuff down on the front of the engine, check the timing belt. Pretty sure it's going to need it, and we got to find out why it wasn't building any oil pressure. I know that bearing is junk, but I don't think that alone would prevent the motor from building any oil pressure. So stay tuned. We'll know more next time, and thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And also make sure you remember to click the little bell icon so you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. And you can also reach me offline if you prefer that at MacGyver's Workshop at gmail.com. And don't forget to check out our website, which is www.MacGyversWorkshop.net. We'll see you next time.